If you're over 60, there's one everyday movement that might seem healthy, even harmless, but it could quietly raise your risk of a stroke overnight. No pain, no warning, no second chance. You could go to bed feeling fine and wake up unable to speak, move your arm, or recognize your own family. As a brain doctor, I've spent over 30 years treating stroke victims, but the cases that haunt me most aren't caused by smoking or bad diets. They come from something much more unexpected: common exercises, the very stretches, routines, and senior-safe workouts you've been told will help you age gracefully. The hard truth is that some of these movements, when done at the wrong time or in the wrong way for an aging body, can overload your blood vessels, spike your blood pressure, and help form the very clots that strike your brain in the dead of night. Today, I'm going to walk you through 5 common exercises that might be putting your brain at risk, even if you feel strong, even if you think you're doing everything right. Because at this stage of life, what used to be healthy might now be dangerous. This isn't about scaring you. It's about arming you with the knowledge to stay safe. This is one of the most critical conversations we can have about senior health. Have you ever wondered if your healthy habits might be backfiring? If so, you need to hear this, and I promise it might just save your life. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. 1. The mistake one. It seems like the most natural stretch in the world. Bending forward to stretch your back, touching your toes after getting out of bed, or picking up a laundry basket from the floor. For decades, you've done this motion without a second thought. But what if I told you that this one simple, everyday movement, when done at the wrong time in an aging body, could quietly tip your brain toward a stroke? As a brain doctor, I've seen it more times than I care to count. The problem is a condition called postural hypotension, a sudden drop in blood pressure when you change positions. For younger adults, the body adapts almost instantly to shifts in posture. But past 60, the special sensors in your arteries that detect blood pressure changes, called baroreceptors, lose some of their sensitivity. They react more slowly. This means when you bend over quickly, gravity pulls blood away from your brain, and your body doesn't get the red alert message in time to tighten blood vessels and push that blood back up. You might feel a moment of lightheadedness, or you might feel nothing at all, but inside your brain, something much more serious may be happening. When blood flow drops suddenly and frequently, the brain can become starved for oxygen. This state of low flow, or hypoperfusion, can cause blood to become sluggish and thick, creating the perfect environment for a blood clot to form. Let me tell you about a patient I will never forget, Mr. Edward Millstone, age 74. He was a retired high school history teacher from Nebraska, active and alert, who took great pride in stretching every morning to stay flexible. Each day, immediately after getting out of bed, he would stand up, reach down, and touch his toes 5 or 6 times, a routine he'd done since he was a boy. He said it made him feel young. One morning, after his usual stretch, he felt a bit dizzy but quickly shook it off. A few hours later, while working in his garden, he collapsed. He was conscious but couldn't move his right arm or leg. At the hospital, the CT scan showed a small ischemic stroke. A clot had blocked blood flow to the motor area of his brain. His lab work showed he was slightly dehydrated from the night, as most seniors are, and his blood pressure chart showed a significant dip earlier that morning. We traced it back to those toe touches. His aging vascular system couldn't keep up with the rapid postural shift. His blood, already thick from overnight dehydration, became sluggish, and a clot formed quietly, without warning. Edward eventually regained his ability to walk with a cane, but his right hand never fully recovered. He told me later with tears in his eyes, "I thought stretching was saving me, Doc, but it nearly ended me." This is the truth so many seniors never hear. It's not about stopping movement. It's about understanding what your aging body can no longer do in the same way. A bend that felt good at 40 may be dangerous at 70, especially if you're on medications for blood pressure. So, here is the safe way. Avoid abrupt, unsupported forward bends from a standing position, especially first thing in the morning. If you must bend down, do so by bending your knees and keeping your back straight, and always rise slowly. Consider sitting in a chair to put on your socks and shoes rather than bending over from standing. And if you ever feel dizzy during these movements, stop immediately. That is not a minor symptom. That is your brain whispering a warning. And if a simple stretch can send your brain into crisis, What about a relaxing yoga pose that intentionally shifts blood directly into your skull? You won't believe what I'm about to share next. If you're still watching this video and now understand the risk of sudden forward bends, please comment moving slowly below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. The mistake. Inverted yoga poses. For many older adults, yoga has become a symbol of graceful Ijinga, way to stretch, breathe, and stay calm. And for the most part, gentle, modified yoga can be a beautiful thing for your senior health. But there's one category of poses that could quietly put your brain at serious risk, and most seniors are never warned about it. I'm talking about inverted poses, which are any pose where your head dips significantly below your heart. This includes classic poses like downward dog, but also seemingly gentle restorative poses like legs up the wall. While often marketed as relaxing, these movements can cause a rapid and dangerous shift in blood flow and pressure toward the brain. As we get older, our cerebral auto-regulation system, the brain's built-in pressure valve, doesn't work as efficiently. In a younger person, the body can easily compensate for these shifts. But in an older adult, whose blood vessels may already be stiff, inflamed, or weakened by years of high blood pressure or cholesterol, that sudden surge of pressure can be too much. It can cause a fragile vessel to rupture, leading to a hemorrhagic stroke, a brain bleed, or it can cause a spasm that triggers a clot. Let me share a patient story that still haunts me. Her name was Mrs. Evelyn Thomas, 74 years old, a retired art teacher from Oregon. She was active, kind, and full of life. Every Tuesday, she joined a local gentle yoga for seniors class. She loved the calm music and the sense of community. One morning, during a pose where participants lifted their legs against the wall and rested their heads downward on a bolster, Evelyn suddenly felt a sharp, stabbing pain behind her eyes. She brushed it off, thinking she just had a headache. She finished the class and went home to rest. That night, Evelyn's daughter found her collapsed beside her bed, confused and unable to speak. At the hospital, scans revealed a small hemorrhagic stroke in the posterior portion of her brain, a rare but devastating bleed, often triggered by a sudden spike in cranial pressure. Her blood pressure medications, combined with the inverted pose, had created the perfect conditions for a disaster. A vessel wall strained, and it ruptured. Evelyn survived, but not without cost. Her vision is permanently blurred on the left side, and she now struggles to find words during conversations. The tragedy is that it was preventable. No one had warned her that even gentle yoga poses might not be safe for someone with her medical history. Age changes the rules. The arteries feeding your brain are no longer elastic hoses. They're more like fragile, aging garden hoses that can burst or clog with even a small shift in pressure. So what can you do? Avoid any pose that puts your head significantly below your heart. There is no need to ever do this. You can achieve all the benefits of stretching and relaxation with safer alternatives. If you practice yoga, ask your instructor if they have specific training and certifications for older adults, especially those with cardiovascular conditions. If you ever feel lightheaded, a pulsing sensation behind your eyes, or a deep sense of fatigue after yoga, listen to your body. It's not being dramatic. It's giving you a warning. If inverted poses are a hidden risk in a calm workout, what about a common activity we do every day without thinking? One that can spike your blood pressure in seconds and tear the lining of your blood vessels. Let's talk about lifting. If you're still watching this video and understand the importance of avoiding inverted poses, please comment, "Staying upright," below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. 3. The mistake. Heavy or straining lifting. There's something noble about staying strong in your golden years, carrying your own groceries, lifting a grandchild, moving a box of old books. It makes you feel capable and independent. But what most older adults don't realize is that even these small acts of lifting, especially if done improperly, can send your blood pressure skyrocketing in seconds, creating the perfect internal storm for a stroke. The problem isn't the weight itself. It's the sudden internal pressure you create when you strain. This is often caused by something called the Valsalva maneuver, which is the medical term for unconsciously holding your breath while exerting force. When you hold your breath and bear down to lift something heavy, you cause a rapid and massive surge in the pressure inside your chest and brain. This can have two dangerous effects. First, for someone with stiff or narrowed arteries, this sudden pressure spike can cause a fragile vessel in the brain to rupture. Second, it can cause a piece of unstable plaque that has built up silently over the years in your carotid artery to break loose. That dislodged plaque then travels upstream and blocks a critical artery in your brain. It only takes seconds, and you may not feel it until the damage is done. Let me tell you about Mr. George Pickett, age 82, a retired firefighter from Ohio. He was strong, proud, and fiercely independent. He always insisted on helping his wife unload the car after grocery shopping. One afternoon, he lifted a heavy case of canned goods from the trunk. Nothing out of the ordinary for him, but this time, something changed. He paused mid-lift, clutched his head, and collapsed. When he arrived at the ER, he couldn't move the right side of his body or speak clearly. His scan showed an ischemic stroke caused by a clot lodged in his middle cerebral artery, one of the brain's most vital highways. His blood pressure had spiked suddenly during the lift, and that pressure had dislodged a piece of plaque. The moment of strength he was so proud of became the moment that altered his life forever. George now relies on a walker, and though his mind remains sharp, his speech is labored and slow. This is the quiet danger no one warns you about. You're told to stay strong, but no one explains what happens when that effort is too much for the body you now live in. You do not lose your independence by being cautious, you protect it. The solution is to learn a new lifting habit. Always exhale on the effort. Before you lift that grocery bag or box, take a breath in. Then, as you begin to lift, breathe out slowly and steadily. This simple act prevents the dangerous buildup of internal pressure. Beyond that, respect your new limits. Lift smaller loads. Make more trips from the car. Ask for help. Use carts, dollies, and leverage. And if you feel dizzy, lightheaded, or a sense of pressure across your chest or neck after lifting something, that's not just fatigue. It could be your brain sending a critical warning. This is practical senior health at its most important. If lifting a simple box can threaten your brain, what happens when the very movement meant to build strength, the classic neck roll, turns against you? Coming up next, we'll talk about a subtle motion that millions of seniors do daily, and why it might be the very move that cracks your lifeline. If you're still watching this video and are now committed to exhaling on the effort, please comment "breathe and lift" below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. 4. The mistake: full or jerky neck circles. It's one of the most common stretches seniors are told to do. Loosen up your neck, they say. So, you tilt your head side to side, and maybe even make a gentle, full circle with your chin to work out the stiffness. It feels harmless, even soothing. But what no one ever warned you, and what I have seen cause devastating strokes in my patients, is that this one seemingly innocent movement can cause a tear inside one of the most delicate and vital arteries in your body, the vertebral artery. The vertebral arteries are not like the big, muscular arteries in your leg. They are tucked deep within your neck, and they actually wind their way through small openings in your spinal bones on their path to the brain. They are responsible for feeding the back of the brain, the cerebellum, and the brainstem, which control your balance, coordination, and even your consciousness. These arteries are not designed to be stretched or twisted to their limit. Yet, every time you roll your neck in a full circle, especially with a bit of force or speed, you are pulling on these delicate vessels like taffy. Over time, or sometimes with just one wrong movement, that stretch can cause a small tear in the inner wall of the artery. This is called a vertebral artery dissection. Your body, trying to repair the damage, immediately responds by forming a blood clot at the site of the injury. And that's where the danger truly begins. If that clot dislodges, it can travel directly up into the brainstem, causing a posterior circulation stroke, one of the hardest types to detect and often the most devastating. I remember one case vividly. Mr. Dennis Lyle, 72, was a retired school band director from Michigan. He was active in his church choir and was always looking for ways to keep his body limber. He had read in a senior wellness magazine that neck rolls were good for posture. So each morning, after brushing his teeth, he would slowly rotate his neck clockwise, then counterclockwise. One morning, midway through the second circle, he felt a sharp, tearing pain behind his ear, followed immediately by intense dizziness. He collapsed in his hallway. By the time paramedics arrived Dennis couldn't speak clearly and had lost coordination. Scans confirmed a dissection of his left vertebral artery and an acute stroke near his cerebellum. The clot had traveled just as I feared. Today, Dennis uses a wheelchair. He still plays the piano slowly, but he told me he had no idea that a movement he thought was so gentle could change his life forever. This is why I need every senior to understand this. Stop doing full neck circles. Avoid any fast or jerky neck turns. Never stretch your neck to its absolute limit. Instead, there are much safer ways to maintain neck mobility. You can gently turn your head side to side, as if looking over your shoulder, only going as far as is comfortable. You can also do gentle ear-to-shoulder tilts. These movements provide a safe stretch without putting the vertebral arteries at risk. Your neck is not just a bridge for your posture, it's a lifeline for blood to your brain. Protect it like your life depends on it. And if something this gentle could silently tear open an artery, what do you think might happen when you intentionally push your heart to its limit with short bursts of intense activity? Up next, we'll look at a popular exercise trend and why it may be doing more harm to your brain than anyone realizes. If you're still watching this video and will now replace neck circles with safer stretches, please comment "safe neck" below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. 5. The mistake: high-intensity interval training. HIIT. There's a new trend sweeping through senior fitness centers, YouTube videos, and even Medicare-sponsored wellness programs. High-intensity interval training, or HIIT. It's marketed as a time-saving miracle. Short bursts of all-out exercise followed by quick rest periods, said to improve heart health, burn fat, and keep your metabolism young. But here's what the advertisements won't tell you. For older adults, especially those over 60 with any underlying cardiovascular issues, HIIT can quietly push your vascular system beyond its breaking point, putting you at real risk for stroke. On paper, the concept sounds promising. 30 seconds of fast-paced activity, followed by a brief rest, then repeat. But for aging arteries, which may be stiffened by years of life, and a heart that may already be fighting hidden hypertension or diabetes, this style of training is a dangerous gamble. During each intensity burst, your heart rate spikes, your blood pressure surges, and your vascular system is forced to expand and contract with extreme rapidity. In younger bodies with elastic, healthy arteries, this is a good challenge. But in older adults, that sudden pressure can stress the delicate endothelial lining inside your blood vessels. When this layer is overstretched or inflamed, tiny cracks can form. Plaque that was once stable can rupture. And what happens next is what I fear most for my patients. Your body forms blood clots. Clots that can travel, lodge in the brain, and leave you unable to speak or move. This is not a risk worth taking for your senior health. I'll never forget Mr. Donald Whitaker, age 74, a retired steelworker from Pittsburgh. Donald had a strong work ethic and was determined to stay active. His daughter bought him an exercise DVD designed for seniors with energizing HIIT moves. He began each morning with short rounds of fast step touches and rapid arm raises. It felt intense, but manageable until one morning it wasn't. After finishing a 20-minute session, Donald went to make coffee. Within minutes, he became dizzy, dropped his cup, and slumped against the counter. His wife found him unable to speak. At the hospital, a CT scan revealed an ischemic stroke. His carotid artery had released a clot, likely dislodged during a blood pressure spike caused by one of his power intervals. His blood vessels, weakened by age and untreated hypertension, simply couldn't adapt to the strain. Donald survived, but not without consequences. He now relies on speech therapy and struggles with memory gaps. He once told me, "Doc, I thought I was doing what was right. I was just trying to stay young." This is what I need you to understand. Aging doesn't mean you're weak, but it does mean you're different. Your brain needs steady, consistent oxygen, not surges and droughts. Choose gentler forms of movement. Opt for steady-paced walking, light resistance band training, water aerobics, or Tai Chi exercises that protect your heart and nourish your brain without the shock. If you have been trying HIIT and have noticed dizziness, extreme fatigue, or shortness of breath afterward, do not ignore it. That isn't progress. That is a warning. In this chapter of life, stability is power, control is health, and sudden intensity is not your friend. it's your risk. Now that we have walked through 5 well-meaning exercises that may be putting your brain in danger, you might be wondering, what can I do instead? What is safe? In our final reflection, I'll walk you through the truth about movement and aging. If you're still watching this video and are now committed to steady rhythmic movement, please comment "steady movement" below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. If you've made it this far, I want to begin by saying something from the heart. You care. You care enough about your health, your future, and the people who love you to sit with uncomfortable truths. And that takes a strength that doesn't come from lifting weights or mastering yoga poses. It comes from wisdom. We've walked through 5 everyday exercises: toe touches, inversions, heavy lifting, neck rolls, and high-intensity training, and we've seen how each, under the wrong conditions, can become dangerous for an aging body. The truth is this: aging changes everything. Your blood vessels are no longer as elastic, your heart doesn't respond as quickly, your brain becomes more sensitive to drops in oxygen, spikes in blood pressure, and the risk of blood clots. What used to be harmless in your 40s can, at 70 or 80, quietly set the stage for a stroke. But this is not a message of fear, it is a message of empowerment, because movement is not the enemy. Uninformed movement is. You don't need to stop exercising, you need to exercise differently, with intention, awareness, and respect for the body you have today. So what does safe movement look like after 60? First, warm up always. Walk in place for 5 minutes. Roll your shoulders. Second, use support when needed for balance exercises. Holding on isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Third, favor steady, rhythmic movement like walking or Tai Chi over sudden intensity. Fourth, hydrate before and after you move. And fifth, and most importantly, review your exercise plan with your doctor, especially if you have any history of heart or blood pressure issues. This chapter of life isn't about limitation, it's about precision, about knowing your body better than ever, and making choices that reflect your decades of experience. So as you step into your next workout, take this truth with you. It's not just how you move, it's how you protect the brain that allows you to move at all. Thank you for spending this valuable time with me. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. Please share it with a friend or loved one. For more vital content on senior health, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. And finally, I'd love to hear from you. Please drop a comment below and let me know one thing you learned today that you plan to apply in your life. Stay safe, stay wise, and I'll see you in the next video.